All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to unpack the extraordinary life of someone who is literally redefining our understanding of the universe. We're looking at the story of Sabrina González Pasterski. Her mind is operating on a level that most of us can honestly barely comprehend. She's a pioneer, an absolute genius, and a deeply inspiring figure. And today, we're going to break down exactly how she got there.
The Hispanic Einstein. Now, let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some casual nickname thrown around by her friends. No, this is a massive, awe-inspiring title bestowed upon her by the media and the scientific community. And why? Because of her absolutely groundbreaking knowledge of quantum physics and the universe. I mean, when you're being compared to Albert Einstein, you are operating in a completely different stratosphere of human intelligence.
32. At just 32 years old, she is already considered a leading expert in incredibly complex mathematics and the totally mind-bending realities of black holes and space. Think about that. Most people at 32 are, just figuring out the early stages of their careers. Sabrina's out here fundamentally exploring the very fabric of our universe.
Section 1. A childhood beyond ordinary. From early words to aviation dreams. To really understand how someone reaches this kind of peak, we've got to rewind to her incredible origins. Because Sabrina's timeline, it defies all normal developmental logic. According to her mother, before she was even a year old, we're talking just 8 months, she was already speaking and specifically asking for either a water or a milk bottle. By age 9, while most kids are out playing with toys, she was dreaming of aeronautics and taking actual flight classes. And it gets crazier. Between the ages of 12 and 14, she didn't just study planes, she rebuilt a Cessna aircraft, turning it into an ultralight craft. And by 16, she had her pilot's license and was flying solo. It is a rapid, almost unbelievable acceleration from speaking as an infant to dominating aviation as a teenager.
When she was a kid, Harry Potter was a massive global phenomenon, and she actually admitted to wanting a flying broomstick just like any normal kid caught up in that fantasy. But Sabrina's reality was, well, a little bit different. Her grandfather came up with the idea to gift her a real, old Cessna aircraft to reconstruct. It perfectly captures how uniquely she viewed the world. She didn't just get a toy to pretend to fly. She got a massive engineering project so she could literally take to the skies.
Section 2. Taking to the skies. The power of parental support.
Transforming an old airplane into a working aircraft by age 14 doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It requires a massive, unyielding support system and a core philosophy like the one held by her father, Mark Pasterski. He's an attorney and a former prosecutor, and he said, every child has a destiny, and it's very important to let them do what they want to do. For anyone joining us on this explainer who is a parent, this is such a profound takeaway. Her parents didn't force her into a specific mold. They recognized her exceptional talent and simply facilitated her curiosity, letting her destiny take the lead.
But let's be real, letting your child pursue their destiny can be absolutely terrifying. When a reporter asked her parents about Sabrina's solo flight at just 16 years old, they jokingly asked them, "Where were you? On the ground praying?" It's a really funny moment, but it hits the nail on the head regarding the immense trust and honestly the immense anxiety her parents must have felt watching their teenager pilot a plane she built herself.
This family dynamic built a rock-solid foundation. Sabrina is deeply grateful to her dad, noting that he was literally always by her side to prevent her from making mistakes. But we absolutely have to highlight her mother, Maria González, too. Maria is a Cuban exile who arrived in the United States when she was just 5 years old. That incredible immigrant journey laid a foundation of pure resilience and hard work. Together, her parents provided this constant, unwavering backing that created a safe space for her genius to flourish.
Section 3. The path to quantum physics, an elite academic ascent.
So how exactly does a teenage aviation prodigy transition from building planes in Chicago into an elite scholar studying the very fabric of the universe? Well, her academic ascent is breathtaking. After standing out as an extraordinary high school student at the Illinois Math and Science Academy, where, by the way, she was mentored by the 1988 Nobel laureate in physics, she vaulted right into the Ivy League. She graduated with honors from Harvard University, then went on to conquer the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Today, she is a researcher and mentor in mathematics and physics at the University of Toronto, focusing heavily on quantum fields. She literally went from her neighborhood in Chicago to the absolute highest tiers of global academia.
Yet, even with the Nobel laureate mentors and the incredibly prestigious Ivy League degrees, her core philosophy remains surprisingly grounded. She says, "I like to learn, I like to do things I have an ability for." It's so simple, right? And so humble.
It's not about the fame or the fancy titles or being called the Hispanic Einstein. It is purely about a passion for discovery and utilizing our natural abilities to their absolute fullest potential.
Section 4. A proud Latina inspiration, redefining the universe from Chicago.
Because at the end of the day, Sabrina's legacy is about so much more than just physics, mathematics, and black holes. It's deeply tied to her identity. Sabrina is fiercely proud to be known as a Hispanic woman in STEM, specifically honoring her mother's Cuban roots. Now, interestingly enough, she doesn't actually speak Spanish, but that doesn't diminish her pride in being a Latina icon one bit. She's publicly stated that she wants to turn her story, a story she is immensely grateful for, into a positive impact in her field of work. She wants her presence to mean something much larger for the community.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Looking at Sabrina's wild journey, from the baby asking for specific water bottles, to the teenager building a plane, all the way to the 32-year-old quantum physicist, we really have to ask ourselves, how can society better nurture the diverse, curious minds of today so they can become the Einsteins that redefine our universe tomorrow? Sabrina had a grandfather who bought her a Cessna, and parents who let her chase her destiny. It's a huge reminder to all of us to support the curious minds around us, because, well, you never know who might just grow up to redefine the universe. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this sparks some curiosity for you today.